Hello and welcome to the MCQ lecture series. In today's class, I'll be talking about multiple choice questions with respect to Indian economic environment, which is economics general paper for first year Bachelor of Arts course. And in this chapter, I'll be talking about multiple choice questions with respect to the second chapter, which is talking about agricultural environment in India. So let's get started. The first question is talking about dash can be defined as development emerging at village level or rural level in a variety of fields including or such as business, industry, agriculture, etc. So what can be defined as development in variety of fields such as business, agriculture, industry, etc., whether it is rural credit, whether it is rural indebtedness, whether it is rural entrepreneurship, or D, none of the above. So here the correct option is option C, which is rural entrepreneurship can be defined as development emerging at village level because it is rural or a rural level in a variety of fields such as business, industry, agriculture, etc. So the correct option here is rural entrepreneurship. So rural entrepreneurship is nothing but it is a sort of development which is emerging at rural level in certain fields like business, industry and agriculture. So I hope the question is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next question, which is talking about which of the following is an example of rural entrepreneurship. Now here we are clearly asking an example of something called as rural entrepreneurship, and the underlying options available to us are A, agro-tourism, B, production of meat, wood, etc. Then we have something called as blacksmith, and then the last option is all of the above. So what can be the possible examples of rural entrepreneurship? Agro-tourism, yes, it is. Production of meat, wood, etc., that is other agriculture and other allied activities per se. So that is also in a sense talking about rural entrepreneurship. Then you have blacksmith and all of the above. So therefore all these three are in a sense examples of rural entrepreneurship in India per se, and therefore option D is the correct answer here. I hope this question is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next question, which is looking at the role of rural entrepreneurs in economic development, and the question is framed in this fashion: which of the following highlights the role of rural entrepreneurs in economic development? Now here clearly we are asking about role of rural entrepreneurs in economic development. So here the underlying options available to us are A, it facilitates self-employment or it generates self-employment. Second is it also helps in wider dispersal of economic activities within that rural area. Then third is it helps in utilization of locally available resources per se, that is both in terms of labor as well as other raw materials, and then all of the above. So all these points in a sense highlights the role of rural entrepreneur in economic development, that is in terms of employment, in terms of dispersal of economic activities, in terms of utilization of locally available resources, and therefore the correct option here is all of the above. I'm giving you certain questions with all of the above option as the answer because it covers or highlights all the important things associated with that particular topic. That is, in this case it was role of rural entrepreneurs in economic development, and therefore all these points are in a sense playing a role in making sure that the rural entrepreneur is in a sense contributing towards something called as economic development of that particular area. And that is why I gave you certain points which are in tune with, or it goes along with this role per se of rural entrepreneur, and therefore here the correct option is all of these. I hope the question is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next question, which is talking about challenges faced by rural entrepreneurs per se in India, and the question goes like this: the various challenges faced by rural entrepreneurs in India are dash. So here clearly we are looking at the challenges faced by whom? The rural entrepreneur, and therefore the underlying options available to us are the challenge of availability of funds, the challenge of heavy presence of middleman in the trade, the challenge of lack of information or knowledge about trade per se, and all of the above. So all these three things are in a sense challenges to something called as the development of rural entrepreneurship in India, and therefore here for this question the correct answer is all of the above, option D. Again, the same logic implies here, which I have explained it to you in the previous question. That is, we need to get a sense of what can be the possible challenges, and that is why I covered them here in these 3 different points, and that is why the correct option here is all of the above as answer. So I hope this question is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next question, which in a sense is a not sort of a question. So here it is a not sort of a question, so we have to read carefully, and the question goes like this: amongst the following, dash is not a challenge faced by rural entrepreneur. Now in this question we have talked about the challenges faced by rural entrepreneurs. In here I am talking about which is not a challenge faced by rural entrepreneur in India, and let us look at the options available to us. First is low skilled workforce, second is complex legal formalities, okay, third is robust funding, and the last is severe competition amongst the players which are available in that particular market. Here low skilled workforce is yes, we don't get skilled workforce, that is a problem or that is a challenge. Complex legal formalities, yes, again it's a challenge. Robust funding cannot be a challenge. Here I am asking not a challenge. Robust funding is not a challenge, rather it is good. The challenge was availability of funds, or rather they were not getting funds per se. So here not a challenge is robust funding. Robust funding cannot be a challenge. It is good for our rural entrepreneurs if the funding is good or robust or healthy. So this is the correct option here. I hope the question is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next question, which is talking about the trends in Indian agriculture, and the question goes like this: the recent trends in Indian agriculture incorporates or includes what, or includes dash, and the underlying options available to us are: option A is talking about the changing cropping pattern in India, the second is talking about improvement in irrigation systems or facilities, the third option is talking about something called as GMOs or genetically modified organisms, and the last is all of these. So all of these in a sense are recent trends in Indian agriculture, and therefore the correct option here is all of the above. All these, that is changing cropping pattern, then improvement in irrigation facility, genetically modified crops, high yielding variety seeds, chemical fertilizers, then information technology in agriculture. All of these are recent trends in Indian agriculture per se. So I hope this question is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next question, which is a long form sort of a question. So long form sort of question, you really have to pay attention to the long forms per se, otherwise you will not be able to solve this question. And here the question is, what is the long form of GMOs? Whether it is generalized machine output, then you have genetically made organism, then we have genetically modified organism, and general modern output. So here let us look at what can be the possible long form of GMO. So genetically made organism cannot be the, genetically modified organism is the, or organisms per se is the full form of GMOs, and therefore this is the correct option. These are not, that is generalized machine output doesn't make sense, general modern output also doesn't make sense. Therefore the long form of GMO is genetically modified organisms and not genetically made organisms. The options sound closer or looks closer to each other, but they are not. This is the correct option, which is modified, genetically modified organisms. So I hope this question is also pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next question, which is talking about methods or modern methods of irrigation in Indian agriculture, and the question goes like this: modern methods of irrigation incorporates or includes which of these? So the underlying options available to us are: A, sprinkler, B, drip irrigation, C, surface or subsurface irrigation, D, all of the above. So these are all modern methods of irrigation, that is drip irrigation, sprinklers irrigation, or sprinklers are used for irrigation, then surface or subsurface irrigation. Therefore all of these three are methods of irrigation or modern methods of irrigation per se, and therefore option D is the correct answer for this particular question. Let us now move to the last question in this segment, which is talking about information technology in agriculture, and the question goes like this: IT or information technology in agriculture includes or incorporates which of the following things? Here first option is digital mandis or e-agriculture markets, then we have geographic information system or GIS, The third option is global positioning system or GPS, and the last option is all of the above. So here information technology per se in terms of agriculture incorporates or includes all these three important things. That is, first is digital mandis or e-Naam. There's something called as e-Naam, that is National Agricultural Market. It's a sort of portal wherein the farmers can sell and procure different products. Then we have Geographic Information System or GIS, which is again used in terms of agriculture in India. Then we have Global Positioning System, which is again used, and then last is all of the above. So these are all different methods or different information technology tools which are used in agriculture in India per se. So I hope the questions are pretty much clear. I'll be making more questions with respect to this chapter, which is agriculture and environment, and also the third chapter, which is industrial environment in India. So please stay tuned for more. Thank you.